All right, guys, so I've been working on the CB750 and I had a bunch of stuff break on me in the shop as far as equipment is concerned. The first being my compressor. I was vapor blasting some parts. The compressor was running a lot, and all of a sudden it started tripping the thermal overload on the magnetic starter on the unit itself. Not the circuit breaker in the panel, but the thermal overload on the mag starter. So I would reset it, and then I'd blast and it'd trip again. And after 2 or 3 trips, I'm like, all right, what's going on? So what I did is I put an amp clamp meter on it, and it was drawing up to 28 amps, 26 to 28 amps, which is a lot. Because if you look at the nameplate on the motor, this is a 5 horsepower motor, and it says 21 amps is, it should be the maximum with a service factor of 1.15. So you should be running at 24 amps max for a short period of time. I'm like, all right, well, why is it pulling so much current? I hopped on Garage Journal forum, and I was trying to get some help there because I'm not, I don't know much about electric motors, but basically some thoughts were, is it a low voltage condition? Maybe there's a loose connection somewhere. Do I have too large of a pulley, and am I spinning the pump too fast, loading the electrical motor too much, therefore the high current? Or someone mentioned the run capacitors. So I emailed the company for the electric motor, which was Marathon Electric. They provided me with a print of all the connections and what capacitors should be in there and their values and whatnot. So what I did is I tested the capacitors with a multimeter, and I found that both run caps, there's 2 of them in parallel, were essentially at 0 capacitance. So I ordered new ones on Amazon, same day shipping. I paid probably more for the shipping than for the capacitors. Probably 25 bucks for 2 caps shipped the same day. Whatever. I needed to get this thing back up and running. Put the run caps back in there, and all of a sudden my current dropped to normal levels. So that was freaking awesome, and it was a really inexpensive and easy fix, but I didn't really know what it was at the time, and I thought the worst, right? Do I need a new motor? Is my motor going bad or whatever? But basically now at 90 psi, it's pulling 17 amps. At about 110, 120 psi, it is pulling 19 amps, and it climbs to 21 amps at 150 psi. So I adjusted my pressure switch from 175 to 150 as a cutoff. I don't feel I need to be pulling this thing all up to 175. I don't need that much pressure. I don't need that much storage. And then the cut-in is like 110 or 120 or something. So 110 to 150s were normal operation. And also what's cool about this compressor, it has a continuous run mode valve. So you open this valve, and when it meets the high limit, it opens the intake valves, and the pump just freewheels. It'll suck cool air in, and it'll blow hot air out the intake. And the current is down to like 9 amps when it's doing this. And this is all to prevent a bunch of motor starts, if you're blasting, so it's not cycling on and off, because that's bad for the motor. And then also it cools the pump. The intake valves are open, so all it's just feeding air in and out of the pump, cooling it. And I adjusted the valve so it cuts on. It'll go into load mode at 90 psi and unload at 110. And the motor seems to be pulling between 17 and 19 amps in that range. And again, I'm blasting at 60 psi, so I got a little bit of reserve. The motor's happy. The compressor's happy because, you got the continuous run mode. And yeah, so no how-to in this video. I just wanted to talk about it because I searched online and there wasn't really any good information on how to test, what the run capacitors actually do and how does it, and when they fail, what happens. So if the run capacitors fail, motor current is higher. And I also noticed that the motor was like buzzing and humming and just had a weird noise to it with the bad caps. With these new caps, the motor runs really smooth. And I think what the run capacitors do is it helps the phasing or something with the rotor as it spins and it hits it with electricity. I don't know, but I can't really explain what it does, and sorry, maybe you could look it up or whatever. But anyway, also, I'm not going to show how to test capacitors. There's tons of YouTube videos on how to test capacitors. You can just do it with a simple multimeter, but basically mine were shot. Okay, so I got a crappy little phone clip of it running. I'll just play that, and that's pretty much it for this video. I'm back up and running, and I can blast my parts and continue on with the project. But that had me stumped for a good week or two. Okay, so it's in continuous mode right now. I'm going to bleed it down to 90. By the way, it's at 9 amps. Alright, it kicked on. Got almost 18 amps. Alright, wait, stop. Okay, and then I got it to unload at 110. So from 90 to 110, it's unloading, loading. Alright, hold on. So we're approaching 110, 18.8 amps. So hit 19.1 amp, 110. We're unloaded. Now I'm gonna undo this, and it'll climb to 150. Well, hold on, stop that. Okay, so we'll climb to 150 and see what the amperage is. That's what my cutoff is. We're at 130. Alright, so we're at 150. So it was these run caps, man. 2 run caps. And they were smoked. Here they are. They were pretty much zero capacitance. Same day Amazon shipping, 12 bucks, worth it, and I'm back in business.